Hi everyone, Emma here. I'm so excited to show you how to make this lovely bracelet with this gorgeous hemp cord that we got in our Curiosities box, Rainbow Collection number 10. Big, huge thank you to John Bead and to the designers for including this and sending it to me. So we did get a card of hemp in another Curiosities box, and I just haven't had a chance to use it, but we got this one. I think this one had to do with Venice, the colors, of course. So we'll make one similar to this. I'll do a different design, I'll tell you. Let's enlarge this a bit. This design, because you change colors and then for a small area and then go back and change it again, you end up with having to hide your thread in the back, and you can see it's a bit messy. I did manage to get it in, but let me tell you, it was really difficult. So we're going to try something different today. We're going to try and lay our thread, our starting thread, in and wrap it in with these loops that we're going to wrap around our leather. So let's take a look at, first of all, just some business here. The Curiosities box. If you haven't ordered your box yet or subscribed, I'll put the links in the description. There's only a certain amount left, and it's just like, if I feel like it's snowballing with the effect of the incredible stuff that we're getting in these boxes, the things that we're getting. Some of them are vintage beads and stuff like that. So if you haven't seen any of the other videos that I did with this box, take a look. Yeah, it's so much fun. So let's get started. Things you'll need a button with a relatively large shank. So you can see this one has a large shank. And because I'm using this 3mm round cord, I get my leather from Exotica. There's the website. There you can see this is a 25 meter, and it was only $15. And their stuff is so beautiful and soft. If you need to get it somewhere else, that's fine too. You can get shorter. You don't need to have a whole spool of it, like crazy people like Emma. So just test your, and I did find, so this button and this one as well had big shanks, but when they're making these, you get a lot of little kind of leftover metal on the inside, and that really scuffs up your leather. So what I do is I have an old bead reamer that's no good for bead reaming. But if you look at the end point, that this area here is still good. So definitely don't throw it away. It works great for this. Just grab your button and turn it, turn it, turn it. Now, I would suggest, if you have a piece of leather this size, or whatever size your button is, that's just scrap, use that to put through your buttonhole first before you start, and just kind of move it around. The metal kind of powder, and it's like a dark color, comes off. So make sure you clean it before you put your leather, because you're going to put your leather and you're going to see spots all along. You don't want to do that. So, and also make sure it's smooth so it doesn't take the finish off of your leather. So you will need some button like that. And I have an embroidery needle with a very big eye, so that I can use this if we need to get our tails of our cord, our hemp cord, through the back side, something like that. And you'll need pliers to pull it out as well. So let's make sure this is in focus here. Of course, you're going to need your hemp. The colors are amazing. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. So let me move this aside and we're going to get started here. You are going to need some type of cording. You can use fake sinew or you can use a waxed cord. And here's another type of waxed cord. This is, I forget the name of it, but it's a brand name that the John Bead sells this as well. So the reason you need something like this is for these sections here. On these, I used my leather stitching cord, and I found it didn't give the effect I wanted. It doesn't quite sit together, so you see the spaces, and it's kind of messy. So definitely these will be great if it's waxed. You can do like a waxed linen, or you could use a 1mm leather cord to tie those off. So something like that. And you got a bead reamer. Of course, you need your leather. Need some scissors to cut your leather and to cut your cord. And a ruler. So let's cut a piece. So as you can see on this bracelet, this was my first attempt, and clearly this should have been out here. But you know what? Sometimes I have such nice buttons. I want them to be the focal. So I mean, you could essentially put your cording all the way around so that you see it at the very beginning as well. But you kind of have to make a decision. That's me not making a decision. So you can see how tiny my wrist is. So what you're going to need to do is cut one length of leather, but it needs to be folded. So the length I'm going to give you is the one side of it. So let's get our ruler. I think we should start with so my piece, if you look at it here on the ruler, I measured out just a quarter or 7.5 inch. So you got to remember that you need space for your closure and space on this side to hold your button. So you're going to give yourself, let me see, about 1 inch for your closure on that side. So I would say about 1.5 inches to add to whatever your wrist size is. And don't forget to always add 0.5 inch to your wrist size so that it's comfortable, especially with leather bracelets. You know, if like this leather's pretty soft, but if your leather's not soft, it will hold its shape and it gets really uncomfortable on your wrist. So you kind of want it slightly loose. So 1/4 inch to 0.5 inch extra. So now with all those measurements, I'm just going to go ahead and do a folded over 12 inch, and then we'll figure out what we're doing. We'll start at the rounded side. So then if there's extra, we can cut it off. So let's show you what I mean by that. So take your cord, put it on your ruler. And this is great. This ruler is metal, so I can actually cut right on there. But so go all the way to the 12, which is off screen. Do you trust me? So I'm going to fold that over and I'm going to come back around with my second strand. But it's all one piece. So let's just go like that. And I use my flush cutters to cut my leather, just like that. So now we have, once we get it, we'll just keep measuring how much distance we've gone. And I like to just roll this through my hand, and it really softens this up. This leather is several years old, and I'm just amazed how well it's holding up. Now, do remember that when you buy a leather cord that's shiny like this, it that's a finish on top. So if you, even with your fingernail, you could actually scrape and damage it a bit. So be careful with it. Okay, so we'll put that aside now. So the total length, of course, is 24. Just in case. I do get a lot of questions about measurements, and part of the reason I get a lot of questions is because it's expensive and people don't want to cut the wrong one. So we'll save our button for the end. On this, yeah, this one I did it at the end. So we're going to start at this section here. I think we will leave this part here for the end, and I'll tell you why. So you can see, actually, I did damage it a bit. I can't remember what I was doing. I think I had painter's tape wrapped around it for some reason. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave this. Some people will go ahead and put this on right away, but it makes it a little harder to weave at this area here. So just gonna, I don't know, I think I did put a piece of cord just to hold it in place. So let's just do that and goes through. And this is a smaller button, so I'm gonna move that up just like that. And this is kind of loose. Just, this stuff is really cool. It like sticks. And make sure, yeah, there's enough light. Now, you can attach this to a macrame board or clipboard. Just makes it easier for you to, I might as well have added my piece. Okay, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to get my macrame board out and we're going to pin this to it so that it hangs on to that. Just like there's maybe there. Sorry about the focus. So I'm just going to there. Just enough. So now we're going to you have to decide what your color scheme is going to be. I think I want to put some blue, green, and orange. So I already have some blue taken off. So we can get that started. And so if our closure is going to be there, we might want to start a little further down, maybe about here. So that'll work out. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the tail this way, and then I'm going to wrap around it. Let me enlarge this some more. Okay. Yeah, I might have to hold on to this. Like that. So you're going around the first cord, then you're going to go to the other cord and go around. You know what? I think I will do this technique, but I'm going to tape this because it's too many things to hold on to. So let me grab my tape. So I'm just using regular old painter's tape, and the reason being is painter's tape is supposed to come off without pulling any of the paint off. So I'm going to bring it down quite a ways away from where we're starting. And then once we get a bit down, we can, there, we'll tape it that way. Once we get down, we can take that off. Okay, so let's bring our cord back up. Let's try it this way. There, like that. Okay. So now it's probably easier to move the leather around. And I might take that down a bit. There. Now we're going to go back up and over again. You want to get it tight. So there's a bit of maneuvering with this. Okay. And I'm going to go under this side, then over the other side and around like that. And I'm going to push it up when I'm got a few lines there. And you can also decide what your front and your back is. Now with this design, it should work out that the back looks as nice and neat as the front. So let's hope. I'm just going to check the camera. It looks really dark. Okay. Let me see. There's still a bit of space. I'm going to turn it on the side. It might be easier. So I'm basically moving the leather pieces instead of the big strand. So I'll move this up. There. Then around the other side. So you're just keep twisting it around each. One is above and one is under. So it starts to go really fast. And I will move these guys up. Like that. And you can check the front. It's nice and snug together like that. So I'm going to continue with the blue, and then I'll show you what to do with the different color for adding. So hang in there. I just wanted to show you, so I've gone maybe 10 rounds, so I can cut this thread now that I have taped. So let me just hang on to that and actually just slide that tape off, and we can cut this piece. And the rest will go, there's a little bit of a tail there that will get covered up. And I did find holding it this way and just twisting back and forth, it would probably work really well with the macrame board, but it just doesn't lend to doing the video because I have to set it on the table flat. But so I'll be right back. Okay, so I have about that much. Actually, I should measure it. I'm going to cut my thread and we're going to fold it back, maybe tape it along here so that we can start our next color. Let me just cut it to about there. And all I did was I was winding around this side here, and I just wound it instead of going under that way. I just wound it here, and we'll just go along here. Let me get some tape. There we go. You have to have dexterity with both hands when it comes to this stuff. Definitely would work if I had a setup for like a macrame board, or if you have any suggestions, let me know. I do have like different things that I could use, but I don't use them all the time. So right now my office is a bit of a mess. Oh, look, I must have missed one. So let's undo this. I missed looping the other way. Not a big deal. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal. You can hardly see it, but I might as well show you since it's not too far gone. I think if the next color would have been there, it'd be a different story. So let's flip it here and see how much has to come out. And there's where we messed up. There. And let's tuck that in. And I go really tight on these. You don't have to go as tight as I am. And let me talk about this hemp cord too. It is really strong. Like, I'm amazed how strong it is. And when you see it on the card, you can see how it's holding like the shape from going around the card. It looks like it would be almost like papery and hard and crunchy and stuff. But once you've manipulated it with your hands and moved it around, this one's really soft. I'm surprised, and it's not scratchy. So cool, because it kind of does look like it would be. You see the little, sections of like frayed strands like this here. It's super soft once you're using it. So natural, biodegradable, eco-friendly alternative to cotton or synthetic cardage. That's great. The dyes are eco-friendly too. That's awesome. Look at how bright these colors are. So this is amazing. Azo-free. Huh. Cool. Okay. So just make sure I'm all the way there. Like that. And we'll put our tape back on. Okay, and we'll cut some, what did I say? I was going to do green. I like green and blue together. It's kind of a popular combination for sporting clothing and running shoes and stuff like that. I guess they figured out that it's a cool. And you know what? I didn't need a lot. Like, I had a huge amount off the spool. I was planning on doing a woven bracelet. This is kind of, it's not really woven, but it's, yeah, I was going to do woven, and it just got a little too complicated with my macrame board. So I'll have to get my beading loom out. So I think this is probably enough. I am just playing this by ear. This is the first time I've done this, so please be kind. No negative comments, please. It's just to give you ideas of what you can do, and this to me is like a summery, fun friendship bracelet kind of thing you can make. So I went ahead, and we'll have to tape this one too to start it. So that's what I was saying with the other one. I had tape all up and down, because you can imagine I left all the tails out in the back like that. So I had like tape here, tape there. You couldn't even see the bracelet, the woven part. It worked. So I'm going to go ahead and put it at the back. So why don't I do it right over top of this? Yeah, why don't I put it on top of this one? That way there's no less tape on the actual leather. There. Okay. That one goes like that. And this one comes around this way. Okay. So I'm just going to basically start the same as the other one. Like that. So I'm just going to get this one started, and then I'll pause the camera. Like that. Oh, the camera. So sorry about that. Anytime you make adjustments to the camera, it goes back to self focus. I am so sorry. So you can see, and then I'll just tighten this one a bit. There. All like that. So I'm going to continue on for about that length, and then I'll come back and we'll do the orange. Okay, so I did about an inch of each color, and so now if we look at this according to our ruler, I think I'm going to make another one for myself. So I'm going to make it, it's going to be very small. So there's the one mark, and I'm just holding my thread. I'm going to show you how to finish that part. So my wrist is under 6 inches. Now we have to put the loop for the button. So let me think here. We have about an inch of just leather where that closure is going to be. So we should maybe do the same. So there's 1 inch. So we'll put the stuff, and so maybe I'll make this for a 6.5 to 7 inch wrist. So what I'm going to do is one cord is going to fold over at about the 7 mark, like that. The button will be on that. And this area here is where we're going to put our cord to, we're going to glue it and and put some cord there to hide that. So the cut should go. Let me get my flush cutters for that. Actually, let me tape this first. I need some more hands. I need an assistant. Don't tell my wife that. Actually, she is my assistant. She just doesn't know. She doesn't get paid. I wanted to mention too, when I was doing this on my own, while I had the camera paused, this is a nice, fun, like summer camp type thing for us adults that don't go to summer camp anymore. We always made like friendship bracelets and stuff like that. So this piece I'll cut just slightly longer, and we'll trim it as we go here. But what did I say? From the orange, yeah, so actually a bit longer, and I'm going to cut it on an angle so that it will fit, like it won't be bulky next to the closure. I am just going to look at this again because I wanted to put that inch past the color. So the 5 is there. The inch is about there. Yeah, I guess that's right. The button's there. So let's actually we can cut it about here like that. I was like, oh my gosh, I cut the wrong thing. That's never good. So I can put my button through here so you can see what I'm doing. So something like that. Now that's the piece that we cut, but this will get cut shorter too. So we're gonna put cut it a bit shorter. And then we have our bracelet. So let's just leave that for now. Let me show you what to do with this. So of course this one we can't fold in because we were weaving it. So now we need to pass this one through. So I'm gonna actually take a longer piece and I'm gonna cut that on an angle so it's easier to thread onto that embroidery needle. That. And you can kind of mash it down if it's too thick. That. Okay, so I'm going to grab this. There. And I'm going to skip over the first 2 strands and I'm going to get my needle in behind the weaving part of it. Just pay attention you're not like actually digging into your leather. So you can see the needle's gone through. Just push that through. And this is where you're going to need your pliers to pull that through. Okay. And just kind of wiggle it there. And let me get this one in here and pull it like that. There. Nice and snug. If you're concerned that's going to come out, then you can go down a little bit more. A few strands more. And be careful if, like, this embroidery needle has a point, it might actually poke through. I think it poked through that one actually. The hemp, it will make it harder to get that whole needle through a strand of hemp. So just be conscious of that. And jiggle it around. Move this around. There we go. And just press onto that so you're not pulling all your strands out of sync. And just massage it a bit. There you go. That lovely. And don't forget to take your needles off your cord or thread, whatever you're working with, and clip that. There. Okay. I was actually thinking of putting something on here. Let's see what we have. We have some lovely flowers. You know I'm not done. I have to put beads on. That's pretty. I think I'm just going to leave it. Get a grip, Emma. You know, I'm just like eyeballing the bin that I have all the beads they gave us. I'm not happy till there's more bling. I need me some bling. Okay, back to the matter at hand. So we are almost done. So what we want to do is we're going to add our button. Put that back on there. And might bring this down a little further. And I'm just squeezing the leather together at the button. Like this. Let's do it this way. I think I'll leave it like this normally. I wouldn't, like I would cut that a little better. But then there's not a lot to grab onto. So I think what I'll do is we'll weave this together and then we'll just clip the little end there. And I think I'm going to put the short end between the two. Okay. Just working through the process. So I wonder, I don't know that the fake sinew would match. And I'll tell you, I did try this yesterday. I feel like this is a little bit thin for this. So let me grab, I do have some different colors of this waxed 1mm cord. I think works a little better. So hey, just 1 minute and I'll be right back. Okay, I couldn't decide. So I brought two. I need you to decide for me. Let me see. I think the green detracts. I don't know where my light brown is. I do have one that matches this exactly. But having said that, I think this would look good because if you look at the card, there's kind of a off-white on there as well. Looks nice together, so I think we should try that. You're going to grab, about a wingspan of this. And what you're going to do, they said we'd put that in the middle, yeah. And then this to the side. And we are going to take your end of your, let me bring this down. I hope I wasn't off camera for that. And let's make sure, yeah, it's in focus. So put your end strand here, that, but then you're going to create a loop on the other side, bringing your strand right back to the other side like this and like that. Okay, and let me flip that, and now we're going to take your strand of cord and you're going to wind it around as tight as you can get it, and as neatly. This is kind of flat, this, so it's kind of there like that, and just keep going around, actually maybe overlapping a bit. There, like that. There. And you can make this as wide as you want. I think that'd probably do it. I'm gonna tighten that a bit. Okay. So now, just going to turn this. We're going to take the end and put it through the loop. That. And hang on to this. Hang on to everything, actually. Let me flip it again. That. And pull this strand here. So you see how it's kind of hard to show you, like that. And let me get this a little tighter here. Here, let's bring this over. I want this nice and snug up. There, pull that in like that. And now, once I know that it's in the middle, I pull both sides. So that way it doesn't pull this out of the wrap, but it cinches the strands. So you see how it kind of pulled these guys in. Pull it nice and tight like that. And that is not going anywhere. Now let me, actually, you know what? I might clip these right now and see if we get a little more of a cinching going on. So I'm just going to tuck everything out of the way. Use my flush cutters right there. Like that. And I'm going to use my flat nose pliers and I'm going to mash that down a bit. See if we can get that there. I'll cut this one before I do that. Move my cord out of the way. Get my flush cutter in behind and just cut that piece off. There, like that. I'll be careful. I did scuff that a bit, so. I'm just gonna straighten it out. And we'll squish this one down too. And I left my string on purpose. So now that I've compressed everything, I can actually just make sure that it's still all snug. It actually snugs up all the pieces. And that looks good. So we can clip those. And you can take your GS Hypo glue and put a dab of glue in there. But I find that it's nice and snug. It's really not necessary. There. Look at that. And so that's the back side that you can just flip your button the other way, like that. So that's going to look amazing. So we're going to make the closure the same way we did this one here. It'll be a little easier. There's not a whole bunch of stuff. Look at how tiny my wrists are. How crazy is that? Let me double check that. You're going to laugh if it's too big, aren't you? Like, it fits exactly. And there we have it. So let's do the other side. I mean, you don't have to, but it definitely will be a little more secure if we do. So let's go ahead and do that. So the button goes to about there. So let's put our next piece there. So let's grab some more off-white. I did a wingspan. I'll do the same this time, even though we didn't need it all. So let me know if you're interested in seeing more videos like this. I definitely will do a little better job with the video part to this if it's something you're interested in. But my desk is set up specifically for beading. Go figure. So it's a little bit awkward. So take the one cord end. Doesn't matter which side you do it on. So bring your thread down that way. Find the spot you want. Create a loop. Bring it down the other side. So I think we're going to put it about here. Yeah. Okay. So take your, whoops, my loop. Pulled on my loop there. Okay. Like that. And this. And start wrapping. I'm going to flip it the other way. A little easier. Like that. And that should probably do it. So take your end and put it through the loop. That and take the other side and pull. And let's bring that down. That, pull. And press down on that and hold it in there. Like I said, I always pull, once I know that it's kind of in between, then I cinch them, and you can see how it just pulls everything together. You can, there. And that is it. Let's clip this. I'm going to get rid of that little tail. Just be careful not to pull it too much because you'll bring out the loop there. So let me get in here. And you can kind of push it in with your nail. There. Ta-da! And there you have this lovely bracelet using this incredible hemp cord. So huge thank you to John Bead for the lovely contribution into our Curiosities box. Let me get that in there so you can see. Like that. Let's get this one. So now we're set for the summer. We have our friendship bracelets. Ta-da! Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.